Imagine a world where machines don't just follow instructions, they learn, think, and improve on their own. That's not science fiction anymore. That's deep learning, the revolutionary technology powering everything from voice assistants like Siri and Alexa to self-driving cars, facial recognition, and even the content recommendations you see online. But what exactly is deep learning? How does it work? And why do experts call it one of the most powerful breakthroughs in human history? Let's break it down in the most mind-blowing way possible. Deep learning is a branch of artificial intelligence that teaches computers to learn by example, just like humans do. Instead of giving the machine a list of rules to follow, we feed it tons of data, and then it figures out the rules on its own. Think about that for a second. A machine teaching itself patterns, logic, and decisions from raw information. That's not programming. That's learning. Here's the simplest way to imagine it. When a baby learns to recognize a cat, no one gives them an instruction manual. They just see lots of cats, fluffy cats, skinny cats, cats in pictures, cats in real life, until their brain automatically figures out what makes a cat a cat. Deep learning does the same thing, but with computers. At the heart of deep learning lies something called a neural network, a digital version of the human brain. It's made up of layers of nodes or neurons that process information. Each neuron takes a piece of data, analyzes it, and passes it to the next layer. The deeper the network, meaning the more layers it has, the more complex patterns it can understand. That's why it's called deep learning. Now here's where it gets really fascinating. When you show a deep learning model thousands of images of cats and dogs, it does not just memorize them. It starts to recognize subtle details, the edges of the ears, the texture of the fur, the shape of the nose. Over time, it builds an understanding so accurate that it can tell whether a blurry image is a cat, even if it's never seen that exact photo before. That's pattern recognition on a superhuman level. But deep learning isn't just about images. It powers almost everything around you. When you talk to ChatGPT, for example, it is deep learning that understands your words, interprets meaning, and generates human-like responses. When Netflix suggests your next show, it is deep learning predicting what you will love based on your viewing habits. When Tesla's autopilot avoids an obstacle, it is deep learning analyzing real-time video feeds and making split-second decisions. These aren't just algorithms, they're machines that learn from experience. So how does it actually learn? That's where something called training comes in. Training a deep learning model means feeding it massive amounts of data, sometimes millions or even billions of examples. Every time it makes a prediction, it compares its result to the correct answer. If it is wrong, it adjusts its internal settings slightly. It keeps doing this over and over until its accuracy improves dramatically. It's like a digital brain constantly practicing until it masters the task. Think of it like a student studying for an exam. At first, they make mistakes. But after reviewing answers, correcting themselves, and repeating the process thousands of times, they become experts. That's what deep learning does, except at lightning speed. Now, what makes deep learning so mind-blowing is how it has completely changed industries. Take healthcare. Deep learning models can now detect diseases like cancer or Alzheimer's from medical images faster and sometimes more accurately than doctors. They analyze millions of scans, spotting patterns that human eyes might miss. This means earlier diagnosis, better treatment, and potentially saving millions of lives. In finance, deep learning predicts stock market movements, detects fraud, and even powers robo-advisors that manage your investments automatically. In agriculture, it monitors crops using satellite images, identifying which areas need water or fertilizer. In entertainment, it generates music, writes stories, and even creates deepfakes, hyper-realistic fake videos that can mimic anyone's face or voice. That's how powerful these systems have become. But deep learning's most fascinating feature is its ability to generalize. That means it can take what it learns in one area and apply it to another. A model trained to recognize cars in traffic can also be adapted to recognize ships in the ocean without starting from scratch. It's like teaching a student algebra and then watching them figure out calculus on their own. And here's where things get really futuristic. Deep learning isn't just learning from data anymore. It's starting to generate it. Tools like Dolly or Midjourney create original art. Chatbots write essays, code software, and even hold conversations that feel eerily human. This isn't just intelligence. This is creativity powered by math. But let's pause for a second. With great power comes great responsibility. Because deep learning doesn't understand truth, it just finds patterns. If the data it's trained on is biased, the model will learn those biases. If the data is flawed, the predictions can be dangerous. For example, if a facial recognition model is trained mostly on light-skinned faces, it might struggle to identify darker-skinned individuals accurately. That's not AI being racist, that's AI reflecting the data it was given, which means the responsibility lies with humans to feed it balanced, ethical, and transparent data. There's also the question of control. As deep learning systems become smarter, they start making decisions too complex for humans to fully understand. Even engineers who build them sometimes can't explain why a model made a specific choice. This black box problem raises real concerns, especially when AI is used in critical areas like criminal justice or autonomous weapons. So while the technology is breathtaking, it also demands caution. Now, you might wonder, will deep learning replace humans? The answer is both yes and no. Yes, it will replace certain tasks, repetitive jobs, data analysis, even creative work in some cases. But no, it won't replace human thinking. What deep learning lacks is consciousness. It doesn't feel, it doesn't dream, and it doesn't have desires. It simply processes inputs and produces outputs. The genius lies not in the machine itself, but in how we use it. And that's the key. Deep learning is a tool that can either amplify human intelligence or replace it, depending on how we choose to apply it. Used wisely, it can solve global challenges from climate change to healthcare to education. Used recklessly, it can spread misinformation, deepen inequality, or even make humans overly dependent on machines. So the real question isn't, what can deep learning do? It's what should it do? Because the future of AI isn't written by code. It's written by us. Here's the most exciting part. We're still just at the beginning. Deep learning today is like electricity in the 1800s. Revolutionary, but only partially understood. We haven't even tapped into its full potential. Imagine AI systems that can design new drugs, eliminate language barriers, optimize entire cities for efficiency, and personalize education for every single student on the planet. That's where we're heading. So, next time you unlock your phone with your face, talk to your voice assistant, or get a perfect product recommendation, remember that's deep learning quietly working in the background. A digital brain, learning, improving, and evolving, all without you noticing. It's not magic. It's math. It's not science fiction. It's the future happening right now. If this blew your mind, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dive videos into AI and technology, and share this with someone who still thinks machines can't think. Because the truth is, they already do, and they are only getting smarter.